Hello there, my name is Boluwatife David. People call me Mr. Focus, and I am the People's Coach. Welcome to 40 Lessons in 40 Years. Lesson 33. Nothing has meaning except the meaning you give to it. And by extension, emotions change the moment your meaning changes. I'm going to explain all of these things to you in a moment because I know that you'll be wondering in your mind, what exactly is this guy talking about? Now, one of the things that happened to me when I was really young was that I had a very rough secondary school life. I went through a number of things that a lot of people would describe as something very gory and all of those kind of things. I don't want to share the details here right now. However, by the time I entered into university, I began to engage with the concept of emotional intelligence. And one of the first lessons I learned is this thing that I'm sharing with you. The moment I saw this lesson, I began to think about it. Is there a chance that this event that has happened to me is data that I can interpret in whatever direction? And if I'm able to alter my interpretation of that experience, is there a chance that it can help me engage with life in a better way? Now, let me share one example that I normally share in my emotional intelligence class with you. Imagine that you're driving your brand new car on the free road on a typical, afternoon, just going at an average speed, and then suddenly somebody drives dangerously close to you. What you would most likely experience in that moment is what we call emotional hijack, where blood would flow to your legs, and without your permission, you would march on the accelerator. The goal is to get close to the person and then give this person a piece of your mind, either by doing any sign language or just ensuring that this person gets that you're angry. Well, let's say immediately you get close to this person, you look into this person's car, and right beside the driver is a woman carrying a very young boy covered in blood. I am sure in that moment there is going to be an alteration to your state. Now, what you will discover in this situation is that your experience, the event itself, has not changed. However, what changed was your interpretation. In the first instance, your interpretation of that event was that that driver must be a reckless person that is just driving anyhow. But the moment you drove close to them and you saw what the situation was, your interpretation became, oh, this is an emergency. This person is rushing this boy to the hospital. What you notice is that the moment there was a change in your interpretation, your emotion changed and your behavior became regulated. Now, what are we then trying to say here? That in effect, the event of the person driving dangerously close to you was purely an information, but your interpretation or your thinking is what then determines the side in which you tilted towards. So imagine that in that moment where the person drove dangerously close to you and you thought to yourself, oh, maybe it's an emergency. Guess what? You will not even feel angry, let alone feeling the need to march more on your accelerator and give this person a piece of your mind. The moment you recognize that you have the power to choose your interpretation per time, the more you empower yourself to show up in the best way possible that you can pursue the goals that you want. Because a lot of things will be happening in this life around you that can trigger you to want to behave in one way or the other. But the moment you recognize that all of these things are purely information without any intrinsic meaning, you then begin to ask yourself, what kind of interpretation will I give this thing that will be empowering to me so that I can show up in the best way possible? The more you master your thinking or your interpretation, the more you empower yourself to show up in the best way possible. So the next time an event is happening around you, please do not take your first interpretation or your first thinking. Ask yourself, is there another way I can look at this thing so that I can show up better and act in a way that supports my goals. Remember that the reason why we are doing all of these things is not because of the people that are giving us certain behavior, but it is just so you can show up in a way that ensures that your goals are not sabotaged. So remember that nothing has meaning except the meaning that you give to it. And ultimately, your meaning would affect how you feel. Change your meaning, change your state, and change your outcome.